Hi, it's Margaret, and thank you so much for joining me here on the Gardening Me. Today, I am finally getting around to doing my front entrance pots. It's been a rather hectic couple of weeks. We had a birthday celebration with a lot of people over, and my son is also graduating, so there's a lot of things going on around that. And I have not gotten to potting up the annuals that I purchased in my last video when I went to Cotta Nurseries. Now, the plan for my front entrance is basically the same in terms of what I'm doing as I've done in the last several years, and I really, really like it. And what I do is individual pots with one plant in it. And I line the steps on both sides with that. I usually have one or two on that side of the door and then maybe a smaller one on that side of the door. Every year it's kind of different. I don't necessarily plan it out. I kind of go out, see what looks good, buy a bunch of stuff, and then figure it out after the fact. So that's kind of just how I do it. Now, one of the reasons I really love doing things this way is the flexibility it gives you. I can kind of move things around as things kind of grow and fill in, and I will try plants in different configurations. And then during the summer, I sometimes switch things up. If it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, sometimes I buy like an extra plant that I see that looks kind of good, and I can just kind of plonk it in there in another small pot and kind of include it with what I already have. If something dies, I don't have to worry about fiddling with pulling it out and putting something else in. I can just take the pot away, put in something new, and put it back. Now, the area that I'm sitting in faces north, and it is a very protected spot in addition to that. There's protection on both sides from the wind, and it's rare, like maybe a couple of times a year, where I do have issues with like a pot falling over or something like that. Normally that doesn't happen. And the other thing is that the steps here, there's kind of three biggish steps going down, and especially the bottom two do get a tiny little bit of sun. I would say maybe an hour or two in the late afternoon. But otherwise, everything else is full shade, doesn't get a lick of sun at all during the entire day. The shadiness and the protection from the wind means that I can use small pots, and they're terracotta pots on top of that, so they do dry out more quickly. But I'm not a slave to watering them necessarily unless it is super, super hot out. And I'm talking like in the 30s, that kind of thing. And then I may have to water every day. I find that if the temperatures are in the mid 20s, that kind of thing, your average summertime temperature around here, mid to high 20s, I am normally watering these pots maybe every other day. Sometimes I can even go 3 days without watering them and they're still fine, because you don't want the soil to be sopping wet. You want it to be moist, and they definitely stay moist because of the protected shady conditions here for longer than maybe what you would expect, and definitely longer than in a part sun where it's getting 4 to 6 hours of sun, or a full sun situation. I have tried doing the small terracotta pots in full sun, and that does not work well. They do dry out really, really quickly. And for that, I normally try to use glazed pots, because the glazed ceramic pots don't dry out nearly as quickly as terracotta. And I also try to use much larger pots. So instead of my little, like, I don't know, 5-inch, 6-inch pots that I use here, I will be using more like 12-inch pots in sunnier areas. So I think that's everything that I wanted to say, and I am going to go grab the pots. I'm going to pot everything up in the backyard because I don't want to create a mess here, and yeah, I'll meet you back there. Okay, so here we are. These are a lot more than what I'm going to have room for on those stairs. I have a ton, like mainly on this side actually, of coleus that I grew from seed. So a lot of these, I think I will put a few of them in the pots that go along our steps. But I think a lot of them, most of them, will probably go directly in a bed or perhaps in pots somewhere else. But it's good to have choice, right? But the first thing I'm going to do before I decide on which ones I'm using along the front walkway or the steps or whatever is I'm going to get my soil ready. I get the soil in these big condensed bales, I guess. Using this soil, though, involves one extra step that sometimes the bagged soil doesn't. And it is compressed, like it kind of comes out like this in kind of biggish chunks. I mean, they're not hard to break up. They're, they break up easily, but it's very, very dry. It's much drier than the stuff that you get in just the regular ready-to-use bags, I guess. Normally, if it's a fresh bag, it will be moistened enough already where I actually don't have to pre-moisten it. But this, regardless, you always have to pre-moisten it because it is literally like dust. So before I get to filling up the pots and potting these guys up, I thought I would give a little tour of what I actually purchased and what I started from seed too, just to give you a flavor for what's going on here. Now, these guys here, these are the begonias that I got from Cotta Nurseries, and I really, really liked the bright color here. Normally I stick with a paler or a pinker kind of scheme in the front, but I thought this year it would be fun to switch things up and do things a little bit brighter, especially because it is a very shady porch. So here I got this one here. This is a pale yellow begonia, and this one is called Nonstop Yellow. And here, this beauty, I mean, look at that. That is gorgeous. This one is called Nonstop Fire. And I have another Nonstop Fire somewhere, I think on this side of the table. This one here is also Nonstop Fire, or at least that's what the label says. Yes, Nonstop Fire. So, but look at the difference. This is quite different than this, but I love them both. So I have a couple of those. I have some impatiens. These are New Guinea impatiens, and this one is compact blush pink. There's no flowers on it. I'm thinking this must be also compact blush pink. I'm not really sure. These are two different types of pots, so chances are this is completely different. When it comes to annuals, I often like to see the flower on the actual plant before I buy it, not because I want it to be in flower. In fact, usually the recommendation is it not be in flower because you want to be able to enjoy the flowers at home. But the thing is, sometimes these things are not labeled properly and you don't get what you expect. At least if you see the flower, you're going to get what you're expecting. These were impulse purchases. This is actually a perennial. This is Campanula, and what is it? Purple Get Me, it's called. This one goes all the way down to a zone 3. I may put them in the pots, I may not. I'm going to see how it goes as I start potting things up. These go from sun, according to the tag, all the way to full shade. So then we have this guy here. This is Terrenia, Moon Purple. Look at the gorgeous flowers on that. Now the tag here, oh, there it is, it says full sun. But I know that Terrenia can definitely do full shade as well. I mean, not deep, deep shade, but like the kind of shade we're talking about on the north side of a building. And I think ideally they are suited for part shade, but they have no problems, especially if I put them on the stairs where they get an hour or so of sun a day. They do just fine. So here we have some of the coleus I grew from seed. This gorgeous one here is Colocha Sunset, and there is a flower bud on here. So I am just going to pinch that right off. When you're growing coleus, you want the leaves, not the flowers typically. What you should really do is actually just be pinching them all throughout the season before you even see any flowers. I am usually not as on top of things as that, but as soon as I do see a flower, I'll pinch them off. And they generally do pretty well all the way to the end of the season. So here is an All-America Selection winner, and it is Sun Coral Candy. And this one is doing pretty well. However, all of my coleus really should have been potted up way back. I think next year I will definitely start them a little bit later than I did this year. Over the last couple of weeks, they were drying out, so they're not exactly in their prime right now, but I think they should still be fine. And back here, this is actually a begonia that I purchased when I was at a Hort Society meeting a few months ago, and I've been treating it kind of as a house plant. It's been sitting on our front porch for about a month now, and I'm planning on putting that in a pot. I really love the leaves on this, kind of the lime chartreuse green in the middle and the very dark ripply edge. It's beautiful. Then down here we have another begonia. This one is, let me just grab the tag to see what it is. Nonstop Deep Salmon. So that one's here too. I mean, when I kind of look at it, the salmon and the pink don't really go together. So I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to put this pink one in the front porch area. And that's the other great thing about these individual pots, because when I pot these up, I'll put the pink one in one pot, the salmon one in another pot. And then if I find that I don't like it, that it doesn't go together, then I can just take this one and move it somewhere else. Easy peasy. So this gorgeousness here is another Rex begonia, and unfortunately the tag is your generic, this is a Rex begonia tag. So it doesn't tell me the exact variety name. And had I remembered to look at that at the nursery, they're often really good at Conan in telling you what stuff is. I've often gotten plants there that have zero information on the tag, and I will say to them, hey, do you know what variety it is? And they'll actually look and see if they can find out from their records what it is. And then I have just a whole bunch of various coleus. These are all coleus that were grown from seed from a rainbow mixed packet. Basically, when they were seedlings, I picked out the ones that I thought looked the most interesting. The one that I really like, which doesn't look all that hot right now actually, is this one. Look at the modeling on that. The problem is it looks like it has some mildew on it, some powdery mildew or something. So I don't know. I'm going to probably cut this one all the way back. These leaves here look a lot better. So I'm probably going to cut it all the way down and see how it does. So before I start filling up the pots, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take each of the plants and sort of put them in the pots that I want to use for them. So for example, this guy here will be going in one of these smaller pots like that. And so will this one here. Now for these larger pots, I will often group things together. So for this, I'm thinking for this, I'm going to put this big guy here. And then I think I'm going to put a couple of these coleus, of the Colocha Sunset coleus, because I think that goes really well together, those two. So I'm going to put that together. I'll just kind of put that there. This is Wicked Witch coleus, and this is actually a coleus that I wintered over. I bought it, I think, 2 years ago, and this is my second winter wintering it over, and then I take cuttings and I put it outside. I think I am going to put these campanula into these pots here, like that. I just went and grabbed this gorgeous pot. This pot I got from the Van Dusen Botanical Gardens in British Columbia a few years ago. It's one of my favorites. So I think I want to put this one beside the front door, and I have to pick something special to go into it. How about that? I think that'll look really good. Yeah, I think that'll go good there. Oh no, I think it's starting to rain. Hopefully this is an intermittent shower and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I am back and it seems to be only spitting a little bit and not actually raining per se. So I'm going to carry on and see if I can get this done before the rain actually comes. So I've basically sorted everything out in terms of what I want. Everything that is not in the pots. Oh, and I grabbed a couple more pots actually, because yeah, I have way too many plants, not enough pots. Actually, you know what? This one might go good here. I'm thinking this might go good here. I was going to put that in here. Maybe I'll do this as a full coleus pot. See, as I'm going on, I kind of keep changing my mind about what I'm doing. And that's the beauty when you create your own containers. You can do whatever you want. The only person that has to be satisfied with what you do is you. So I am going to quickly see if I can fill all these with soil and then start planting these up. And I'm going to put the plant back so I remember what I put where. I wish I had a little umbrella for the camera because I don't mind working in the rain, but I'm just concerned that the camera is not going to be so happy about it. So there were a few big sprinkles and I brought the camera inside and I came back out. I filled up the rest of the pots. Actually, looks like I missed 2 of them, so I'll have to do that. And now it's nothing again. So I am going to see once again if I can quickly try to get all these plants in these pots and then go to the front. And once we're at the front porch, it's not as big of a deal because there's the porch there and it's a covered porch. So and last one, and look at that, looks like we beat the rain. Now I have to bring everything to the front porch and figure out where I'm going to place it. Okay, I am all done for now. And actually what I realized is I'm a little lopsided because I should have right there 2 pots and I only have 1. So I'm going to have to create another pot. But this is basically the layout for now, and we'll see as it develops if I keep it or if I start switching things around. Now up here, what I forgot to mention earlier is my kind of large planter. And in here, I put a begonia, also a no-name one that I got at a garden center that just had a generic tag, a couple of ivies that I bought at Conan, and I also put that light pink impatiens here. There is the streptocarpella that I overwintered. It's actually still in the pot. I overwintered it in. And what I might actually do is take a few cuttings. I don't know if you can see the flowers. They're really cute little purple flowers there. It does get quite floriferous over the summer. Well, it did last year anyway. I'm really hoping it does this year again. Here, I also have lamium. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I do have one more Rex begonia. Let me just show you. So I have this guy here that I bought, very, very dark, dark red. And I don't know whether I might kind of plonk it kind of in the middle of that. I'm definitely going to be cutting back a lot of the lamium. Around here, lamium is considered invasive. And I do like the fact that it's a perennial. This is actually lamium from last year. I had it planted in here with some lobelia and impatiens, I believe. I might even get some more impatiens for this, I'm thinking. But I pulled everything out except the lamium, left it. I figured it would overwinter because it is a really tough plant. And like, lo and behold, look at that. It is going crazy. I'm going to totally cut that back. I'm probably going to pull out most of it. I would say maybe at least half, 3/4 of it even, and plant around there. And that basically is about it. So we beat the rain, yay. There was a little bit of in and out there for a while, a little anxiety. It's really nicely overcast. This is actually the perfect weather for doing some gardening. This shady area here on the porch is absolutely my favorite area in terms of annuals and containers that I have anywhere. It gives me so much joy, and it also gives me a lot of joy as I watch it kind of flourish. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.